Lucky Boys Podcast.
But I did read that they just found a humongous pyramid in I think Mexico in the Mayan culture. I think it's oh man, I should have saved that article so I could reference them back. But it's this undiscovered pyramid, and it goes for miles.
Is it underground?
Yeah. No, it's not underground. Well, it's been covered by trees and stuff, but I think originally it wasn't underground. It's just been so many years that nature took over and covered it up. Like the pyramid in China.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. Was this recent or?
No, that's not recent.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a pyramid in China, and they blocked off people from going to go check it out since like I think almost 2 decades ago.
Oh, wow.
But before that, they were able to excavate parts of it outside of the pyramids, and they found a bunch of terracotta soldiers.
Oh, okay.
Outside of it, and supposedly there's like underground lake that's filled with mercury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a tomb for the old king, I think back in the Ming Dynasty. So really interesting stuff, and they have a lot of theories and blueprints and layouts of what they think that's there.
I never knew that.
But they found some beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I never knew that China had any pyramids.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Or is that
though?
the first pyramid that was discovered?
I don't know if that's the first pyramid. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
At least to my knowledge, when I think pyramids, I always associate it with Egypt. Right? That's my first connection to it. But what's crazy is that there are pyramids throughout the world.
Yes, yeah. The Mayan pyramids and
Right. There's pyramids in Mexico. There's pyramids in Peru. Right. Is there pyramids in Peru? Well, I know there's Nazca lines and there's pyramids in China. There's pyramids all over the world, right? And I'm going, wait, time out. How did these people come up with the same? Was that the style back in the day to build pyramids? And if so, if that was the architecture that was favored back in the day, if they couldn't speak to one another, supposedly, right? Then how did they all know how to build something so complex? Whose design was that?
Well, if it's like my guess, I would think it's like merchants and traders who are traveling between countries, and they share this kind of knowledge.
Say like you get people that are basically salespeople. So you get salespeople that travel the world. Call them merchants and traders, however you want, right? You got salespeople that travel the world. They're gonna know how to build pyramids.
Well, they share they share that information with kings and
is that enough?
And royalty,
right? But is that enough? Like, it's so complicated. At least to our knowledge, I mean, you got stones that needs to fit together like puzzle pieces,
right? Yeah,
that weighs tons. How do you carry it?
Well, the thing is, like, how do we know that the structure or the build of pyramids are the same in each different country, right?
They all pretty much have the same,
but they have the same shape, but we don't know structurally
they got
how can
big
they
ass rocks built on top of big ass rocks that does not seem humanly possible with the technology that they had back in the day compared to what we have now to build it. If we go to present time and we took away our tools in terms of the trucks and the technology that we have to carry these stones, which they didn't have trucks and vehicles like that, then how the fuck did they do it? If you take it away now, we wouldn't know how to build it.
There's no way human labor, right? I'm assuming the slaves and.
But if you look
if
you look at the timeline, that's the hypothesis around it. But if you look at the timeline, they would still be building it. It wouldn't have been built.
You say it would take much longer with just like human hands to build. Yeah, they didn't have the technology to be able to erect something.
And now they're finding out that maybe it wasn't even built during the times of, like, going back to the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Right. That it might have been there already.
Before,
like the Sphinx.
Wow.
They're saying it might have been there already. So now you got people that's even older they're saying these structures may be even older than what they thought it was What?
Do you think this is has any extraterrestrial origins?
No. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to me why aliens would come down and help us build buildings. It sounds like, ooh, yeah, they help us build this, and you know, to me, I don't get it. I know they say, like, is it like energy and alignment,
transfer of energy,
and all that stuff. Then, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I've heard that some pyramids are actually conductors of electricity.
Right.
So there's some science that are.
But why would aliens teach us that, though?
To advance the human race at that point in time.
If they wanted to advance, when they tell us to use like different materials, that's not.
Well, maybe the materials didn't exist at that time period, and then it needed, time to move forward.
Good point.
For it to develop, right? Like
good point, because they don't have chemistry at that level. And,
exactly.
And other digital technology. Okay. So they would say, get these big ass rocks and stack them on top of one another.
Yeah, and then find the materials that, like a type of metal that, can transfer electricity in your time period, and build it within the center of the pyramid. And this is how you, put it, position it.
So much mystery to the past history that like, why did they, like, if you look at what I just saw earlier, like what I brought, Nazca lines, like, why the fuck did they build that? Like, why did they draw lines that stretch out for miles? Have you ever heard that Nazca lines?
I've never heard Nazca lines. Can you?
They have, and you can Google it, right? And that's something you can spend like an hour on easily. Right?
Yes.
But they have lines and shapes of. There's one like a humanoid figure, and they're huge, and you can only see it. There's reptiles, lizards, mammals, all over, and birds, and you can only see it if you're from an aerial view.
Oh, okay.
The shapes of it, because it's huge. It stretches out, and these lines has been around for, I think, as long as the pyramids.
Are these lines? Do they serve a purpose besides being?
No one knows for
showing
sure.
Shapes or anything.
It has
like
to show some. It has to have some type of purpose. Like, so at first they were like, maybe there are lines for like water or
irrigation.
Energy. Yeah, and when they look back at it now, they're like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's for something else. Maybe that's a sign for the aliens to communicate. And I could believe with that, with the old school civilizations, I could see that, because think about it, they used to kill people thinking that it's going to give them better crops.
Yeah.
Right. So if you
sacrifices,
you could do that. I could see yourself, doing a huge graffiti on the floor going, hey, hope the gods could see this, or the aliens, or whatever they would believe in.
I mean, that's super interesting, because when you're talking to me about, like, okay, they're creating these lines to communicate to aliens or extraterrestrials, and I'm thinking, maybe when they were looking at the stars, they were looking at, okay, these are images or messages from another race or aliens out in space, and so a way to communicate to the stars is to communicate on Earth, somehow. Was
it the Great Pyramid? There was built in alignment to the stars. So if you look at Orion's belt and I think the Nile River, and you look at the three pyramids, if you go back to that time, it's in perfect alignment with the constellation of Orion's belt, and the river aligns with the Milky Way.
Oh wow,
that's fucking crazy.
Wait, so the river was man-made?
They did. I don't know. I don't know that, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, but it's just crazy.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Like, it matches perfectly with the
Milky Way. Look it up, man. I'm telling you, it's pretty trippy. And if you look at the mathematics behind it, in terms of the shape and it equals pi. It's crazy. They actually they wasn't just throwing stones, like being cavemen, like right. There's like precision behind it, mathematics behind it. There's a lot of calculations, and not only just to build it in this open field, but we wanted to line it up with the constellations. We wanted to line it up with the stars That to me is crazy.
Well, it kind of like
I feel like there's definitely information that's lost that they had back in the day, and we don't have anymore, and it's not somewhere that it's been communicated to us. And I think if it was, I think it would be so valuable. I think all of us would look at life differently, because they definitely figured something out. They definitely have a message.
Right. There was a blueprint for these builds.
Like, why did they do that? There has to be a reason. And it wasn't just Egypt. It was all over the place, right? You look at Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Right. There's also alignment there. If you look at so many places throughout the world, Puma Punku.
I'm not familiar with that.
Teotihuacan. Like, I'm telling you, man, this is stuff. At first, I got put on all this when I was watching Ancient Aliens. And then I thought they were like bugged out. At the very least, it was entertaining. But what you can't argue is the structures. When you look at the structures, you're going, whoa, time out. Why did they build structures like that? It's crazy. And some of these structures, it looks like it was laser cut. And they didn't have lasers back in the day. So how did they have something that was so clean and precise to cut these rocks?
And it's not natural erosion, right? So
no, man.
Yeah.
And even in Japan, there's like supposedly, it's debatable, but what they found under the water, and there's scuba divers, and there's footage of this online, where they're arguing if this was naturally made or if this was human made, and it looks like a pyramid.
Yeah, underwater. Oh wow!
I forgot what it's called. I gotta brush up on my old school. So I haven't looked into that stuff since like over a decade.
Yeah.
Like after college, even during college, I was like really into that stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't really touched on it in so long, but man, it's so fascinating.